Named after a San Francisco neighborhood, South Park Commons started in 2016 as a collective of researchers, engineers, and founders, but since then, it has grown from being a learners group to a platform which has raised 3 funds to support entrepreneurs at very, very early stages. With its New York expansion plans already underway, it is now looking at India and has just announced the opening of its Bengaluru community in collaboration with Flipkart's co-founder, Binny Bansal. For more on their India plans, I'm now going to be speaking with the co-founders of South Park Commons, Ruchi Sanghvi and Aditya Agarwal. Just tell us a bit about the origins and how large the community that you built is.
I started SPC when I left Dropbox. I was interested in starting a company myself, but had no direction other than that ambition. So I was very lonely. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And in that time, I decided it would be useful to collect, 10-ish or so technical people who were my peers, who were in the same state as me, who were also unemployed, thinking about what they wanted to work on next. From those humble origins, we now have had over 700 members who have started over 150 different companies. We have offices in San Francisco and New York, and we're so excited to now bring it to India.
But, just to simplify perhaps, Aditya, if you could come in on this, you're not an incubator, you're not an accelerator, you back what you call as -1 to 0 phase entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Just tell us about that ethos, that ideology that you've started with, and what was the thinking behind that and the white space that you're sort of filling with this SPC?
Absolutely. So our ethos and our philosophy is that as you essentially have some time in your life, kind of in between projects, you might have sold a company, you might be leaving a big technology company. What you should do instead of rushing into the first idea that you have, is take some time to tinker, to explore, to find out what is happening at the frontier. Because when you're in a company or you're in your startup, you're so deep down into solving one problem that you might lose sight of what's happening at kind of like the boundaries of essentially what our capabilities are. So our take in South Park Commons is that don't rush into the first idea you have. Discard even the good ideas in favor of the exceptional ones and take some time to do that.
2 funds that you've deployed, the 3rd one that you've just raised, the kind of returns you've been able to generate for your investors.
It's been phenomenal so far. Kind of the public stats that we share is that we have essentially had 150 companies come out of South Park Commons. They've raised over $1.3 billion in aggregate, and their collective valuation is now north of like $30 billion, right? So I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves in terms of the success of the model. But I think what's more interesting for me is that people are tackling more ambitious ideas as a result of coming to SPC, rather than had they just gone the vanilla route of essentially doing a 0 to 1 kind of starting journey.
And it's interesting, you guys said 98% of your companies are still alive. Just give us some examples of some of the ones that have made it big, that it started out at SPC, just to give our audience a sense of the kind of founders that have come out of this community.
I would love to tell you about Luma. I think this is actually, they had a huge launch yesterday. This is Luma Labs AI. And they just yesterday released the world's leading video foundation model. So this is essentially the best way to use a prompt to go and generate like long form videos, and you can go to the website OpenAI's Sora, but it's publicly available, and we're just super excited for them. But if you think about it, this is the first time that we can actually create these hyper realistic videos from small prompts that go on for essentially like more than 5 seconds. Super excited for them.
Well, that's interesting to hear, which brings this Bengaluru community. You've roped in Flipkart's co-founder Binny Bansal. What's his role going to be? What do you have in mind for India?
So we want to bring this -1 to 0 ethos here to India. We've known that the talent has always existed here, but they're more willing to take risks. The market opportunity is now huge, with over 820 million users with access to internet. I think it's important to have someone like Binny who has built an extremely successful company, who understands India, who has been on the ground here, partnering with us, where we've been, stateside in San Francisco. And for us, it would be interesting to build a community of technologists who are not afraid of tackling the hard technology problems, who have a very long-term view for the future. Okay. And almost take some of the more interesting, pertinent technology themes around AI, like build this AI community in India with a bridge to the AI community in San Francisco. Those would be some of our initial goals.
Would you be able to share some numbers in terms of what kind of investments you're looking to make here in the India market specifically?
Select community of highly technical and talented people, let's say about 20.
Okay.
Hopefully those pan out into investments in the future. I think instead of focusing on numbers, what we like to do is be the first check in to these companies. We partner with the companies early on. We help them with ideation. We help them with initial go-to-market. So we're pretty significant partners and want to be that lead check and the first check into those companies.
You told us earlier that you've won, as we understand. If you could give us a bit of a color on that, is it going to be India-focused? What are your plans on that front?
We've historically seen a lot of great, essentially, I would say, reception for the fact that we have a lot of amazing partners around the world who have really supported us in our own -1 to 0 journey. A key part of what we provide to our startups, in addition to the community, is the ability to kind of fund them over time. And we're very lucky to have incredible partners who have helped us over the years to kind of help us support our startups. And I'm confident that we'll continue to do that in the future.
So no comment on the fourth fund, if at all there's going to be one?
We definitely need to have capital. We intend to have capital to support our Indian companies, absolutely.
And what are the kind of companies that you're going to focus on here when you look at investments? Tech, of course, is the big theme.
The frontier of technology. If you're going to zoom out and you think about the moment that we are witnessing today, we are undergoing a fundamental, I would say, generational shift in computing, and kind of primarily driven by the advances in artificial intelligence. AI, where it is today, is think of the internet in 1994. It's remarkably early, even though we have heard so much about it. So a key part of our focus, actually in America, has been these AI kind of companies up and down the stack. So what we really want to do is to have that same kind of AI-focused kind of founders and community here in Bangalore, and also essentially provide bridges to them.
For entrepreneurship in India, what are some of the interesting themes, the ideas that are coming out, which made you want to come here to begin with?
The Indian ecosystem has actually a tremendous amount of deep technical talent that today is not actually focused on the most interesting technical problems, right? So part of the reason why I'm really excited to be part of this ecosystem is the existence of SPC will essentially allow us to match up this deep technical talent to work on really hard, ambitious, crazy, zany technology problems. And I'm really looking forward to see what those people build.